In Japanese folklore, an Oni means a demon, orc, troll, or an ogre. But this soon-to-be Oni's name is Kazan Yamaoka. This is the story of the Oni. Kazan's family and his father had a very high reputation within the samurai culture surrounding Japan. And so Kazan wanted to surpass his father's name, and he thought he would do that by taking care of a particular issue he thought was going on around Japan. He thought there were farmers that were posing as samurais, and he found this to be disrespectful to samurai culture. And so he was going to do something about it. So he grabs his dad's katana and he hits the road and he starts going around the land trying to find these so-called imposters. And once he does find them, he would yank off their top knots and strip them of their armor. And he would kind of keep their top knots as a trophy for what he's accomplished. Now, obviously, everyone had a problem with this. He's just running around killing innocent farmers. And so word gets out and he's got monks calling him possessed. He's got a noble lord calling him Oni Yamaoka, which, if you remember what an Oni means, it's a bit of an insult to him. And Kazan just couldn't wrap his head around these people thinking that he was an Oni. You know, he thought he was purifying the samurai class of these imposters. And so, in order to redeem his family's name, he would slaughter anyone who called him Oni Yamaoka. Kazan had an ominous voice that was specifically telling him to strike down that lord that originally called him Oni Yamaoka. So that's what he did. He decided he's going to go kill the noble lord. But not long after he had set sail, he came across a samurai in his path who was obviously trying to stop him. So he squared up, and they went at it. And this mystery samurai managed to actually get the upper hand on him, but he then hesitated, and Kazan saw his opportunity. So with a devastating blow, he crushed the mystery samurai's head and cracked his helmet. However, this was no mystery samurai. Kazan quickly found out that samurai was his father. Kazan was devastated. He would then burst out into an absolute rage and just wander around aimlessly for days on end. And he would hear his father's voice calling him a failure and that he was completely out of line with the way of a samurai. And one day he was off wandering around some woods and he came across a statue of an Oni. And Kazan couldn't help but feel like this statue was ridiculing him. And so this ridicule made him remember the noble lord that originally gave him the title of Oni Yamaoka. So he headed back once again to go take out that noble lord. Kazan journeyed to some snowy mountains where the noble lord resided. Now this noble lord had some serious security detail. So when Kazan gets there, he's faced with dozens of samurais protecting the noble lord. But this is Oni Yamaoka we're talking about, and he absolutely slaughters all of them, no problem. And Kazan then makes his way through this town, and he eventually finds the lord hiding in a villa. And once he finds this noble lord, he cuts the lord's tendons to immobilize him, as well as ripping his tongue out. I guess to symbolize literally taking his name out of the lord's mouth. And so once Kazan's done with that, he's completely content. He's satisfied with what he's achieved. So he heads on back home. But standing in his way would be the entire town, because word got out of what he had done to their beloved lord. Now this is not a dozen samurais like before, this is an entire town. So Kazan puts up a little bit of a fight, but they eventually overpower him. And then they begin to torture him in the same way that he had just tortured the noble lord. Once they had tortured him for enough time, they decided to take him to a stone mill to continue the torture. And once they torture him enough, they leave him at the stone mill to die. But when they come back to check on him, his body is gone. And in place of his body is a strange black fog that had completely filled the stone mill. This would be the beginning of a dark legend of a rageful Oni haunting the town.